Yes, now we're there. We can see the grade 8 upcoming classes.
Perfect.
That's what we see.
So what I just wanted to make you aware of grade 8s, and I haven't done this before, is that if you go, and I'll even put this link in the chat now, is that if you really need help with something of the topic below, these are available on the Watobe website. Okay, so just be aware of that fact, and that there are, if you need help on a specific topic that we're not doing tonight, there is that resource available. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you know where this is now. I want to make sure you know where this is, and that you know how to get there if you weren't in class. Give us a thumbs up, and then I can get back with my lesson. But I just thought I must tell my students about this wonderful resource that is just waiting for them, and maybe they're having a test on something tomorrow and they're just needing some help. Okay, so now let me move on to what we were doing in the last lesson. And the topic of this course is number patterns. And you can see what I did in the previous lesson. And I've done question number 1. And I just want to make sure that students can do these 2 questions. So let's start. You can see the example on the board. I want everyone to work out the answers for number 2 and number 3. And in order to do that, you need to build a number pattern formula for number 2, and then use it to work out what T8 is and what T16 is. So if you look at the row, position in the sequence, position 8, position 16, but you have to use the earlier bits to help you. And we were covering this at the end of last lesson. And I want to see, can you get the answers for T8 and T16 and then put them in the chat? And then for those who are really on fire, see if you can do for 3, if you can work out T4, T7, and T30. If you are joining us for the first time today and you're feeling a bit lost, just hang in there. I will explain these in a moment. But there is an example on the board. So you can see the first one, we looked for the step size of 3. So the terms are going up in 3s. And so we used that 3 to help us start the formula. And then once we put that 3 in front of the n, we needed the +1 to help us get all the way up to 4. All right, so I'll give you a little bit of time. Let's first see if we can get T8 and T16 and put it in the chat. Okay, Rebetswe has got an answer coming through, and so is Lati. I'll wait a bit before I confirm anything. So while you're working on that, I am going to say this number pattern is going up in 5s to me. And so if I'm going to build a formula, and I'm going to do this in a slightly different part of the screen, what I always started was I would write down that, and then I would put the number of the step size in front. Unfortunately, that doesn't work, because if I put 1 into this formula, I get 5. And my first term is not 5, it's 4. And so what I do is I take away 1 to help me get my formula. And if I test that, T1 is 5 times 1 minus 1, which is 4. Let's see if now I'm hoping if I've been a good math teacher, I should get 9. So let's see if I'm a good math teacher. 5 times 2 minus 1. Okay, I'm having a good day. So now the question is, well, how do I get T8 using this formula? And I think I should just be able to put an 8 where the n is. So 5 times 8 minus 1, which gives me 39. Perfect. Now, I need to first get 16.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry, guys, if somebody is not on mute, if I could ask you to put yourselves on mute. Let me leave that one up. It was T16, huh? So I need T16, and that is going to be 5 times 16 minus 1, which is going to be 79, which looks good on the chat. I think most students are getting comfortable with this. So that is good news for all of us. Can you please try and work out the third one? And I'll leave the answers up for those ones on the board. And I hope that things are getting a little bit easier each time we do this. But again, yeah, practice will be our only friend in that regard. Okay, how much is this going up by? It looks to me like it's going up in 12s. And because this is position 4, I can actually be sneaky and just go, I know that that's going to be 39 because it's going up one thing at a time. But when I jump from 4 to 7, then it's like, oh, I think I need to use my formula. So I ask myself, how much is it going up by? Okay, so it's 12. And if I just stop there, unfortunately, I would only get half the marks because this is telling me T1 is going to be 12. But that's just not true. T1 is 3. So what do I need? I call this the balancing term or the constant term. And I think to get from 12 to 3, I need to take away 9. So that would be my number formula. And so you need to now work out for me what T7 and again, when I say T7, I kind of go into robot mode, but T7 means the 7th term in the number pattern. Like if you imagine this block format that we're using, this table format, you know, if you imagine this is a number pattern, it would just be 3, 15, 27, and we could keep writing it out like a list, but sometimes we, instead of writing in that format, we write it in this block format where we have the position number above. But you can imagine this is position number 1, this is position number 2, 3, and so on. So just bear that in mind as you're doing this. Okay, I see some answers coming through. I will take questions. I see some hands popping up, but I just want to get the rhythm going. So 12 times 7 minus 9. It's a good thing I learned my times tables, guys, because I can say that's 84 minus 9. And I get 75. At least I think I get 75. Who agrees with me? Ayanda, Chlono agrees with me. I see some funny students. So somebody's already got the 50th one. Oh my goodness, I have to check. I don't know what the answer is for that. So 12 times 30 minus 9. So 10 times 30 is 300. So 360 minus 9, I get 351. Ah, yes. Okay, so what I want to point out, guys, is that if we have a number pattern where it's going up by a constant amount, math is easy because we just follow this pattern, this formula where we first go, okay, we need a term in our formula that handles the going up in 12s or the going up in 3s. And then we need another term that just balances it, that basically makes the first term fit. If we can do that, it's really not too bad. Now, I'm going to make it a little bit more tricky. So I'm going to ask you to figure out the blank spaces, the missing numbers here. And after you've done that, I want you to work out the formula for each of these 3. Okay, so that's the challenge. You're going to, for each of these, there's terms that are coming after it. And then I want you to work out the formula for each of these. And the formula is going to be in the form of Tn equals n and so on. Over to you guys. Oh, someone is breathing on the mic. If I could ask our breather on the mic, please mute yourself. This is a maths class, not a drama class. Hence, we have to keep it focused on the maths. Okay. So over to the students who are going to do A, B, and C, and then I will take questions. Yolanda, is there any students hand up that wants to ask a question?
Yes, yes, yes. Hassan wants to ask a question. Hassan, may you please unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yes, go ahead, Hassan.
Hassan, are you there? Okay, I think we can just lower the hand of Hassan for now and we can continue.
That's fine. Anybody else have a question?
No.
Yes, sorry, Imitiaz, I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
No, we always, learning names is one of the things here. Like we try our best, and then if students tell us the correct, we try and, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask my question?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
I mean, like, now I'm going to tell you how I understand it. So,
okay. All good.
Like, if it's like T in 30, then immediately I first think of the brackets. I always go for that first. I don't know why, but I just do like instantly. I see brackets, okay. Go for it first. Like first when I see so I multiply, then I go for the rest of the question.
Okay, yeah. So what you find is that there's actually more than one way to do this. So what I must warn students about is that if you're consistently getting the right answer and your teacher taught you a slightly different way, don't stress about that, because there is another way to do this. It's just that I found that this is the most logical way to teach it from the foundation, but it's okay to be a bit different as long as we're getting the same result. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're all good there. I see a couple of answers are coming through. So this number pattern is going up in sevens. The constant difference or the step size is 7. Now, can you build me a formula? Cool. So Remofule, don't stress. If you've joined late, just hang in there for now. You'll pick up the process as we start. I will keep repeating myself today about what process I'm using. So just hang in there. Okay, so basically I know that it's going up in sevens on A, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build my formula, and this is the way I build my formula. So there's two things that are in a relationship in a number pattern. There's the position, and then there's the value of that position, which we call the term. So term 4 would be this one, right? Its position number is 4, but its term value is 22. Okay, so that's the two things, the two characters that are on the stage here. Now what I do is in every number pattern, I look at what is the constant difference of the step size, and I put that number in front of the n. So in this case, I'm not done yet, but my formula is Tn equals 7n. And what the 7 does is because it's a multiplication with the n, it repeatedly adds an extra 7 for each additional position number. I mean, that's kind of what's happening. You don't have to know that, but that's the brains behind it. Now we have another problem. If we stopped here and I put a 1 in, so position 1 is n is 1. At the moment, my formula says the value is 7, but that's just not true. The first value is 1. And so what do I need to do to get from 7 to 1? Well, I need to take away something, and I should need to take away 6. And so this is my formula for this particular question. Okay. So if you are feeling okay with that, go on to the next one. If you have a question, I encourage you to ask it in the chat or raise your hand and I will take your question. Right.
So there's one question from Likue. Likue says, I don't understand how we got the 6.
The 6, okay. Okay, so if we've got, basically I call this, the 6 over here, the balancing term, okay? And the way to think about it is when I build my formula, it's a 2-step process. Step 1, let me just make this the same color, is to, or let's say 3-step. Step 1 is to do that. Now that's just not true, but it's a starting point. Then I say, what is my constant difference? In this case, it's 7. And if I stop there, this is what the formula produces. T1 is 7 times 1, which is 7. T2 is 7 times 2, which is 14. Now, the problem is I'm just not on the same planet here, right? The question says that I start on 1, and I'm saying my first term is 7. So there's a problem, there's a contradiction. So what I do is I say, well, what do I need to subtract from what I've currently got to get to what I should have? And in this case, 7 minus 6 gets me to 1. And that's how I got that formula. Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, I do a lot of this, and so you can give that a go. All right, the second one, it looks to me, guys, like this is no longer an increasing sequence, it's a decreasing sequence. Because it looks like we started a big number and now we're going down. So we need to think about how we're going to handle that when we build our formula. I think that this should be down by 10. Then I should get that. 9990. See if you agree with me. So this should be 9960 and this should be 9950. So it feels to me in words, if a question is complicated, just write it out in words. Going down in 10 or in tens, right? So it's going down in tens. I need now to build a formula for this. And step 1 was to have an n. Now, what do you think is going to be this number in front here? I see some of you are putting it in the chat, but let's just see. I'll give you a little bit more time. If you know what this number is going to be, I want you to pop it in the chat. Aha, I see positive 10, I say minus 10. So this is important. 10, okay. Okay. There we go. What we have is the story of this number pattern is it's going down in tens. And in order to go down in 10, I can't have a positive 10 here. If I had a positive 10, everything would just get really, really big. And I don't want it to get big. I want it to actually get smaller. And so I make this minus 10. Okay, this question is a little bit harder, but hang in there. This is learning. This is the growth. At the moment, if I just left things as they are, T1 is minus 10 times 1, which is minus 10. Now, that is a bit of a problem because I was hoping that this would be closer to this thing over here. Because isn't this the first term that I have? So now I need to ask you something. What do I need to do to go from minus 10, which is where I am, I need to get all the way up to 1020. What is that journey going to involve? So I want in the chat, because this is the mystery, what I call the balancing term, right? So I'm going to do something now. I'm going to put a number in here or something. And I'm saying that its purpose is to go from minus 10, which is what the formula says at the moment, and I need to get to 1020. So guys, what's going to happen is I'm going to add something. And the thing that I'm going to add, it needs to go not only from minus 10, well, it starts at minus 10 and has to get to 0. So that's going to be 10. And then I need to go a whole bunch more. I need to go 1020 up. So in total, and this is a bit strange, I need to add 1030. Okay, if I could ask, so the student who is, I don't know exactly what's going on, but it definitely feels unnatural. If you could please stop breathing on your mic, that would be awesome. If they're not able to, Yolanda, I'm going to have to ask you to put them in the waiting room, I'm afraid.
Okay, I'm trying to find out who it is.
Okay, no, it's all good. No, it's fine. It's not, let's just be reasonable, yeah. Okay, so what we have now is, what did I say here? 1030. Now, if I've really done this correctly, if I've the formula is correct, what we do, let's say T2. What happens if we get T2? Well, then I go minus 10 times 2 plus 1,030. Now, what happens if I go minus 20 plus 1,030? I get, you can see I get 1,000, sorry, not 1,000. I made a mistake here. I should have written, let's just trace my steps back for a second. So instead of adding 1,020, can you guys see my mistake? I should have said 10,020, and then here I should have been 10,030. So let me just go back for a second. Okay, so let's just think about, everything was good to that point. I had to go 10 to get to here, and to here I had to get 10,020. And so in total, I'm going to add 10,030. And so that is going to be my answer. And then you can see where I was going with that. T2, that plus 1,030, which then gives me 10,010, which is good news because that's what that was. Okay, let us move on from that one, and let's just see if we can get the answer for C. Okay, so I don't want to linger too much on this because I think that if you give yourself time to reflect after the lesson, that will be okay. But the main point I want to point out is, do you see the process of Tn and N? And do you see the, do you see that I had to make an adjustment? The rest, I think, will come naturally if we do C. So let's try and do C's one. And I want to see, first of all, I want to start with, what is the step size in C? Let's start by breaking it down. What is the step size in C? How much is this going up or down by? Okay. So it is indeed going up by 1.5. Yeah, 1.5 or 1.5. So if I'm building a formula based on what else I've done today, I should get 1. In fact, let's do it exactly as I was doing it. N, and then you put 1.5. And now I need to have the balancing term. So I want to ask in the chat, how much is the balancing term for this one? What do I need to add or subtract or do in order to finish this off if I think about what I did previously? Okay, well, actually, guys, this is a sneaky one, because look what happens if I put 1 in. 1.5 times 1 is 1.5. Now, is 1.5 my very first term? So let's look back at the question. Isn't 1.5 the very first term that we have? It feels like we've hit the jackpot here on this one. So you're right. I see Owami, you add 0. That's it. Well, you don't have to write it. So T1 is 1.5, which is correct. Let's just make sure we get T2 in the same way. Is T2 equal to 3 in my question? I think it is. So the good news is sometimes we get lucky and that we don't have to add, well, we can add 0 essentially. Okay. Awesome. And yes, the missing numbers are, in this particular case, they are going to be 6, 7.5, 9, 10.5, and 12, 13.5, and so on. Okay, now we've done very well at the beginning of this lesson to master this idea of a formula. What we need is a bit of a break, and I think everybody needs to stand up. And so I want you to stand up from your tables. And I am going to make a fool of myself. No, I'm joking. I'm not really going to do that. But what I want you to do is I want you to have a, get a pen of some sort. Get a pen of some sort. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to see and this is my own made up brain break. So I see lots of students sitting down. I know this, as a teacher, you got to stand up, man. You got to stand up because your brain needs a break. Okay, so you got to break up. So you got a pen. So there's two things we're going to do. The one is you're going to try and balance it on your nose. And if you're really good at that, that's awesome. Oh, I'm clearly not very good at this. Oh, not too bad. So if you can do that, like that's ninja level 1, but then ninja level 2 is to stand on one leg. So see if you can. And then stand on one leg and see if you can do that.
This is really, really difficult. I tried.
It's designed to be like, it's got to get your full attention. That's the idea, right?
I agree.
And I see some students in the background who are doing it. Oh my goodness, Luke is brilliant at this. Oh my goodness. There's some naturals there. So guys, big up, man, big up. I'm really impressed by the class today. It is awesome when we can not take ourselves too seriously. And the other thing is our brains, they really do just need a break. Like, we've been working hard, we're going to carry on working hard, but we want ourselves to have a little bit of fun as we go. Yeah. So I just want to say, I'm super impressed. Can you tell? I'm super impressed. And so, yeah. So Yolanda, what we do is we try and do like something silly brain break if we can. And, you know, just
that was awesome. That was awesome. I enjoyed it also. Thank you, Pizza.
Pleasure. Okay, so let us now, I want to just hone in on one particular idea from the previous lesson. So I'm going to take the first number pattern, 1, 8, 15, and that was Tn is 7n minus 6. So 1, 8, 15, let me just write this down. So 1, 8, 15 was the number pattern that we had above. And we worked out that the formula for that one was Tn is 7n minus 6. So Tn equals 7n minus 6. Now, once you have that formula, you can, if I ask you what is the 100th term, in fact, I'm going to do that now. Work out the 100th term in this number pattern for me. And I want you to pop it in the chat. Okay. So what is T100 for the number pattern 1, 8, 15? Okay, so as you start to feel more and more comfortable with these formulas, it kind of, I could have told you 1,000. Okay. And it wouldn't really make, oh, sorry, I'm making silly mistakes here. So 7 times 100 minus 6. And you get 694. And it gets kind of boring, right? So, you know, once you know how to use the formula, find the formula, and then find a term in the list, what's the other question we need to think about? So I want you to think about this question. I want you to think about, is the number, and I did this in a previous lesson, but I wasn't perfectly understood. If I said to you, is the number 36, is that in this number pattern? So if we focus on the number 36, is 36 in this particular number pattern? And I want you to say yes or no in the chat. So thumbs up is yes, thumbs down can be no. Is the number 36 in this particular number pattern? Let's see what students say. Okay, students are saying yes. So I think students have seen the future. And the way they've seen the future is they've counted to 22 and 29, and if I add 7 more, I get 36. So in fact, just counting out like this, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know that the 6th term, or T6, is 36. But if I say to you, is the number, is the term value, or basically is the number 106, is that in this particular number pattern? I want you to say yes or no, or thumbs up, thumbs down, without thinking about that too much, just give me your first gut feel. Is 106 in this particular number pattern? Ah, I like it. Okay, so there's some confusion, there's some uncertainty. And this is good because I was trying to provoke some uncertainty. The reason you can't do this one and you could do the other one is that you can't easily just count in sevens in your head up to 106. And so we need another method for figuring out if something is in a number pattern. And I suggested this in the last lesson. So what we do is the following. We take our formula that we've worked hard on, which is up here. Maybe I should give it some blue color. And we use this formula to work out the relationship. So we say, I want to know if 106 is in this number pattern. I'm going to substitute in 106 for the term value. And then I'm going to try and solve this equation. Okay, so remember the rule for this number pattern, it's defined by this formula. I've asked you the question, is 106 in this formula or in this number pattern? You couldn't do it manually by counting up in sevens. And so what I want to suggest is another way of telling whether or not 106 is in this number pattern is to solve this equation. If you find that n is equal to a number, a whole number, then you know that n is its position. If n is equal to a fraction, then you know that actually this number is not in the original number pattern. We did this in a previous lesson. So what we're going to do, and I showed you this before, but I'll do it with you here quickly. In fact, I actually want to give you a chance. Should I? Okay. If you want me to do this example for you, say, please do the example in the chat. If you would like to do it by yourself, say, I'll do it myself in the chat. I want to get a feel for the class, your sentiments. Okay. I don't want to steal the glory, guys. I want to give you a chance to shine. So, okay. So it's a bit of a mixture. What I would do is I'm going to solve this. This is called an equation. And the goal is to get this n by itself. In order to do that, I have to use what's called inverse operations. The first thing I need to deal with is the -6. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. If I do that, I get 112 equals 7n. Okay, so notice how the -6 and the +6 knock each other out. And as long as I haven't made a silly mistake, I get that. Then what I need to do is I need to divide that by 7. Okay, and why do I need to divide by 7? Well, because dividing by 7 is the opposite of timesing by 7. So let's see what happens if I go like that. 112 divided by 7, what do I get? Turns out I get n is equal to 16. So what we find, what that's telling us is that if we started this from the very beginning and we said, let's start at 1 and count to position 2 all the way up to the 16th term, we would get to 106. And so basically what this has showed us is T16 is equal to 106. Okay, then what I want to ask you next is I want to ask you, and then I'm going to move on from this topic or this little small subtopic, is 110 in this number pattern? And I want you to say yes or no. Is 110 in this particular number pattern that I started at the top with 1, 8, 15? Yes or no? Buchle says yes. Kaukliso says no. No. Minnie says no. So how would we know? I suppose some of the sneaky ones amongst you are saying, well, if we know 106 is in the number pattern, the next one, if I add 7, is 113. And since 110 is in between that, it can't be included. And you're correct. But what I want to show you is that this new algebraic method will also tell me it's not in the equation or not in the number pattern. And so just to show you how that works, let me take 110. And what am I going to make it equal to? I'm going to make it equal to 7n minus 6. Why am I choosing 7n minus 6? Because that's the formula that I used before, remember? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I'm going to get 116 equals 7n. And then if I divide both sides by 7, what is n going to be equal to? 116 divided by 7, it gives me 16.57. And so what the algebra is telling me is it's telling me that this number is not in the number pattern. It's between the 16th and the 17th position. So that's it's a more difficult idea. I want to get a feel for the class. If you feel like you understand where I'm going with this, thumbs up. If you feel like you're like very lost, like thumbs down. And maybe if you're somewhere in the middle, okay. So let's just give a quick feel and all right, most people are, I think, still struggling. So I will explain this a little bit further. Okay, somewhere in the middle, yep. I like what you did there, Lasedi. Okay, with your thumbs up and thumbs down. That's exactly what I was going for. Okay, let's try this again. So let me look at that very original number pattern. Now, when we started this question, and I know I'm zooming out a bit, we started with the number pattern 1, 8, 15. And what we found so far is that somewhere along the list, there's 106. And then we've just decided that 110 is not included. And that's what I've been trying to show you. I'm going to make up a number now. I don't even know if it's in this list, in this number pattern or not. If I say to you, 246, that's a number that I've just made up. Is 246 in this number pattern over here? Now, I want you to try and use the method that I've showed you so far today. And just to illustrate what the method is, the method is make sure you have a formula for the number pattern. In this case, the formula is this. So that is the formula. There's no debating that. We've worked it out already. I want you to try and use this formula to check if plus 246 is in this number pattern. If you're confused, I'm going to explain this in a moment, but for those who can, look at what's on the board and try and use it to help you. Okay. Just think, what was the first step I did? So I have a formula. Didn't I use the number in some way? What do I have to do with this 246? Okay. So what do I have to do with the 246? Yolanda, I've been talking quite a lot recently, but is there anything that I need to be aware of?
So it's just that Hassan has his hand up. Okay, the hand is out now, so I guess doesn't have a question anymore.
Sorry, it was a mistake.
Okay, it was a mistake.
Is there a mistake? Go ahead.
No, he said that it was a mistake for him to raise his
hand.
hand.
Okay, perfect. So I want to know, guys, is 246 in the number pattern, yes or no? And if it is, what position is it in? If it's not, obviously it's not in. So I was hoping we would do that first step. And then how do I deal with the -6? The good news is it's the same as before. I just add 6 to both sides. And if I do that, I should then get 252 equals 7n. And now I need to think, what do I do about the 7 that is getting in the way? And I want to suggest that we divide by 7, just like we've been doing the whole way along. And if I get a whole number, then I know that's the position. If I get a fractional number, then I know that the number is not in my pattern. So drum roll, please. I get 36. So I get n is 36. And so what that means is T36. Thank you for your enthusiasm, Yolanda. I love it. So
I got it right, sir.
you're feeling tough. Yeah. Okay. Yes. All right. So at this point, guys, we have done, I just want to do, actually, we're going to do a little poll quickly. But before we do that, I just want to see, are there some more questions from the students around this topic?
Amathe also has a question. Charity
Go ahead,
also.
Amathe. Go ahead, Amathe. Yeah.
You go there. So I'm just confused and I don't really understand.
So while we're waiting for that question, guys, I've just launched a poll, which is just asking you about the speed in the lesson, because we always try and, we try and do our best to make the most people happy. And so if I could ask you to do that, and then I'm going to ask Charity. Charity, do you have a question? Do you want to come online or ask a question?
Charity
Sir,
can speak.
able to hear me? Are you
Yeah,
able
go
to
ahead.
hear me? So for the formula, Tn equals to 7n minus 6.
Yes.
So you said that we add 6 for both sides. And then what happens if we add 6 next to 7n minus 6? So then we've added a 6. So what happens to the number that we added? Does it stay the same or we just remove it?
Okay, so what happens is, it's a good question. When I add the +6 on this side, it was designed to get rid of the -6. And so when these two interact, it becomes 0. That's why the next side is 7n. Whereas on this side, there was just a 6 by itself, but it had to be added to the 246. And so that's what gives us 252. Okay, so that was the, I hope that was helpful. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is, if I could ask you to all answer the poll, that would be super helpful. And then I am going to, if I could ask you, Yolanda, to put the quiz, our weekly quiz is going to be put in the chat right now. And so what I want you to do is, I want you to do the best that you can on that quiz and get a sense of, how much are you retaining, or how is this experience going for you so far with the quiz? And then once you go off to do the quiz, you are dismissed from class. You don't have to come back, just do the best that you can. Okay, but I hope that if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed or discouraged, don't be. This bit about finding the value or the position of the term is a harder thing to find. And the only reason I'm doing it is I feel like you made such good progress on the other stuff that I wanted to kind of put you on that track. Okay.
Sorry, I'm still trying to get the
quiz or the
quiz.
Yeah. Perfect. So guys, I'm going to say goodbye to most of you. Go and do the best you can in the quiz. And just remember the section, you build your understanding every week. So you'll have a chance to practice things now, but I hope that you had a good lesson. And yeah, it was fun teaching you guys.